I had to make a quick run to the pharmacy, and everything's taken care of. Everything's good. My son's actually about to fall asleep right now, but something needed to be. I had to grab something that's vital for his care. Um, but we're here. But I also have, more than just the charts I want to do. I want to get back on track here. There's been quite often when I come on live and we go through 17 different cryptos, but I feel like we lost our main focus, even myself, as to focus the narrative on XRP. So for that, I apologize for kind of going in too many different directions. I'm going to tone it back. Yes, we know what I like. We know everything else, but I want to stay more focused to the XRP, XLM, DGB area, the feelings of VChain and ZIL, HBAR and Algo, but I don't really want to tote into everything every time. I would like to focus more on XRP. We'll do, a half hour, 45 minutes discussing XRP, looking at the price analysis, looking at the charts, also looking at Bitcoin, making sure where it's at, because that short seems to be on the right track right now. And Bitcoin's not even close to 83,000. Now we're moving more towards that mid 82 and farther down. So I want to make sure to have a more redefined focus. And I know we're committed. But it's I need to keep it more in line, because right now we talk about way too many tokens. And I feel like we're all here for XRP, but we start to drift in a way to where I think sometimes the focus can be lost. So yes, I will share the Telegram for anybody who wants to join. There's 255 members. We all know the deal. There is no chances, so just behave yourselves. People have been kicked out because they're just, bad energy. So just make sure that you have good spirit when you're in there. And that's all I ask. You don't have to pay for it. There's no conditions for it or anything like that. So I'll definitely share this. William, welcome in. And if you are in there, William shows IQ. Very, very nice prayers in there, it's a beautiful thing to see, to be honest with everybody. Let me put this as the pinned message. And then that's the Telegram. So if you'd like to talk further. And to put it in perspective, there's a lot of talking that goes on there. I've been on it I'm usually on it on my phone. But there's a lot of talking in here. So you're going to find people with similarities. You're going to find a group of people that actually appreciate, there's also the chart section. There's a lot of them, people that appreciate the space, in particular what we do, and sharing their personal stuff too. So there's a lot of stuff that goes on there. Many, many nice people. But as far as XRP and the charts go, we'll go through some analysis. Heck, we might even redefine some things. We'll see where these moments of volatility need to reverse, because right now we came down basically to I don't want to say we came all the way down, because it could have, technically it's misrepresented because it actually went all the way up to there. So, if you look at it from that perspective, but a rejection level, it does suggest we should come down and at least hold that 220.5 of this area is going to be of support. The only problem that I have right now with what's been transpiring, and I like this little falling channel, and I still like this narrative that it could bounce out like this. It's just the only thing is that we had to hold this back test, and as of right now, we are. So I think we have to focus on what if this plays out instead of worst case scenario, because like I put in the title, XRP traders are bracing for worst case scenario in many regards, but they're kind of missing the overwhelming story here. That little symmetrical triangle that was formed, we're on the outside of it back testing still, and my technical move is gone from that $2.19.8 area. That's where I targeted it. I didn't know it was going to come down there today and hit exactly there, but that's where I targeted the breakout. Somewhere in that area, and that would be a target of 265. But that has to hold. And right now, at least at the flip of the clock, the one beauty is of me running behind and doing family stuff is the fact that we're able to talk about this during the actual flip of the clock now at 8 o'clock. So I personally believe tomorrow could bring something special in for crypto if they cut rates. And we can see some inversion here. Maybe it's not all of crypto, but XRP in particular is looking kind of spicy here. I think it's looking kind of spicy. So we're going to spend a lot more attention on XRP. Back to how it used to be before I started to, hey, let's go from this crypto to that crypto to 175 different cryptos during the live. And we'll also take a little bit of focus in about a 15, 20-minute time span towards the end of looking at commodities. Look, I'm charging my stuff right now. Okay. Looking at precious, okay. Thank you. Looking at precious metals and also looking at commodities. I did a video earlier, but the commodities video only gets 400 to 500 views in totality. But it was a very nice one, so we'll make sure to take a look at that side as well. So being more organized and having less different areas of approach is going to be, it's cracking. He's choppy. Tom is choppy. Oh, of course it is. Why am I not surprised? Audio is cracking. Excellent. Well, then maybe our live today is going to be cut short because there's nothing I can really do about it. Well, that sucks. It's not a mic issue. That's the problem. This is a YouTube issue. It has nothing to do with my mic, unfortunately. It's not gonna Well, this sucks. Well, but we'll have to see what happens because it doesn't usually let me. No, it is bad. It affects. Let me see. Whoops. Let's see if we can try to circumvent this. Hopefully we can. If not, it's just not meant to be. Let's see. Well, I'm not trying to stop. I'm not trying to stop, believe me. Did that actually work? Sometimes it works. Sometimes we get lucky and it actually works. That's something that I figured out not too long ago. But it's hit or miss, 50-50 that it works. All right. So sometimes, whoops. Sometimes the circumvent, talking to a fan might fix it. It might. But sometimes when I turn off the internet connection, like my Wi-Fi, and reconnect, it forces YouTube to reset the stream. Because if you get back within a minute or whatever, it'll keep you on. So sometimes it works. Most of the time, unfortunately, this time it did. So anyhow, what I was trying to say is we're going to have a more defined focus on XRP. We're going to look more at the XRP Bitcoin pairing, more at the XRP market cap. You know, I think we should look more at the XRP dominance chart as well, like the dominance in crypto, because I think that can tell us a lot of things as well. Because I feel like this alt season in particular, I don't feel like Ethereum is leading the way in this regard. I think in a lot of ways XRP is leading the way into this, even if you want to call it an alt season. But it feels to me like XRP is somewhat leading the way here, if I'm being honest. So if I try to look at something that I could take off this list, it would probably be one of these XRP charts, but it's all about the relevance of them. I kind of don't want to take the XRP charts off, but I do think we need to look at the XRP dominance, and just try to stay level-headed. Yeah, Nick, it does look like Ethereum is fading pretty quickly here. And the problem for Ethereum is simple. When it fell outside, and I know not everybody's going to have it charted like I do, so, you know, it's whether or not it fits. But I had this rising wedge up, in my opinion, and yeah, it fell out. And that target is like 500, 495. But there is the one person who understands this better than anybody is Nick. This is something Nick knows a lot about too. If you're in the Telegram, make sure to go into the charting section and look at Nick's stuff. He's talked about the Ethereum gaps that are under $100. So like this is not out of the question that we could be going into a full-blown weird cycle here. Now that inverse head and shoulders, this could very well be forming a right shoulder here as well. And as long as we don't invalidate too far down, you could technically bring this down to like 1100 maybe, and not invalidate the structure and still somehow pull an inverse right arm. But it's getting spicy here. Because the longer you fall down and the farther you fall from that rising wedge, and now we're starting to fall. Like if this gets a rejection here, then we end up another, $400 down or $300 down. This is definitely getting a little spicy here. So yeah, I mean, if Ethereum does pull up here after an extended down period, it'd be a sight for, it'd be nice. Now, the one thing that can help crypto is they do rate cuts and they go back to quantitative easing. They're basically hand in hand. If we see rate cuts tomorrow, which we'll see what happens. But it's interesting because crypto's been dumping leading into it, and gold, silver, mining stocks have all been pumping into it. So some kind of message is being sent across here where a lot of focus is on risk assets. And I think there's a silent bull market happening, and there's a major, major hidden opportunity there that we've talked about for months and months, but now it's starting to pay off a little bit. And it's nice to be able to balance crypto and another asset class, and then even put it a step further with your IRAs and things like that. So then you've got little tax breaks. So it's not just the rich that get the tax breaks, but if you understand the tax code, you can be part of it, assuming that we make wise investments. And then even if you're just putting $7,000 a year into your IRA, distribution, the traditional, not the Roth, but the traditional, even let's say you got 25 years left of working, that's $7,000 a year that you can write off on your taxes on your bottom line of income. So if you made 50,000, now you made 43. But you do that for 25, like I'm 41. If I do that for another 25 years, just off of the next 25 years, you're talking about, what is that, 175,000, and that's not counting the 4 to 8% interest, depending on what you're in. I like to do the mutual funds in the emerging markets. Those are the two I have up here, the Vanguard and the Eaton. They're both, one's a dot opportunity and one's a bond fund investor. It's got their own class, but they're both in the emerging markets. And you collect a certain dividend. You're not expecting a lot of appreciation. So that's just something I do to try to balance. So good evening. 8:18 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on this Tuesday, March 18th. Believe it or not, already in 2025, March 18th, 2025. I'm XRP Future Millionaire, and I reside in the great state of Michigan. Got the blue fiery flames out today. I don't know why. Just felt right today. Why are there two ledgers for XRP private and public? I'd say there's probably information we're not allowed to see on one. If I'm being conspirator tone. But anyhow, let's take a look at this from the chart from a couple different perspectives. So I want to get rid of some of these. I want to get rid of this. Actually, no. Yeah, 220.5 has to stay. We know where that's at. All right. So the biggest thing here right now, we know we're still stuck in this little channel, this falling channel. That is where the inverse head and shoulders is technically set up. We don't really need to have all of this stuff drawn on here. It's just going to confuse. But those were tops and things like that. But, I would like to see us have a little impulse here. But a lot of things are detracting from it. Like, yeah, in the smaller time frames, maybe it's starting to pull a small reversal. But I know Nick is here, and he can start to attest to this. The longer we start taking these steps down, the more likely we are to visit some of those lower bearish FEGs. At least the lower FEGs. Forget bearish or bullish. Just the longer we do this, it ends up being that never-ending ride down is what ends up happening. That is true, Nick. And that's our hope that ends up holding and we don't have to break down, because I agree. In the weekly and the monthly, if you just pull this out, let me go to a different chart because that is a hell of one to see. You could still make that case. It's just we don't want to fall too far. Because we do have these bearish crosses, and eventually, when you can't find a little bit of steam in some of these areas that should offer us a little support, it ends up having one of these catastrophic drops. And then it ends up reversing. If it holds, we are heading to $4. I mean, I don't disagree. If we can hold, we have a major move coming, at least plus $3, and then it'll probably work itself out. It's just, yes, the FEG at $1.50 is the one that's bothered me since December. Since December, that one's bothered me. And that's a big issue. And this is why I want to talk more about XRP during our lives instead of bouncing around, because there is a lot of obvious issues both ways. Like, there's an obvious issue of why we want to go bearish, but then when you look at the setup and we're on the outside of what looked like a symmetrical triangle, and you could argue that it's something else, but we're on the outside of that pattern setup, and we're back testing it in such a way where we could create a nice bullish Gartley on a nice short-term bull flag that does end up bringing us up to 265. And maybe, just maybe, with that little inversion set up there, maybe we get the kind of news we need for crypto tomorrow and they do the rate cut. Now, listen, I am not in favor of sacrificing a rate cut to make a little bit of money in crypto because it all is for the wrong reason. If we cut rates, the rest of our life sucks. Even if we make a few dollars in crypto, the rest of it becomes very apparent that it's going to be a lot more difficult. You know what was the biggest kick in the nuts today? You know those little tariffs that we put on Canada? Those started hitting in my state. And my salmon that I've been buying for a very long time, and it's from Canada, in the colder waters. And I like that particular one because I know it's not on the farm and it's always been a little more expensive, but 2.5 pounds was costing me about $23. Now all of a sudden today, it costs $29 for the same 2.5 pounds. And the reasoning that everybody wants to say, oh, well, the tariffs. Well, the funny thing is that part of the tariff we put on Canada, but remember, the U.S. citizens have to pay that raised tariff. It's not until Canada puts a tariff on us that their citizens would have to pay. So, you know, I kind of got the message there about the tariff. That's a big rise. And then when I did the math, 25%, you know, I mean, you're looking at $3, $4 plus the added tax, and it just added up. So I was used to getting it for just under 24, and now it was just over 29, which was interesting. I showed you, I'm like, wow, it's a big difference. It sure is, Ryan, the best Canada the best salmon. I mean, there's some good ones in the Great Lakes, but there's really good salmon in the waters of Canada. I know, Northern Lights is one of my favorite strands, and you can't really find real Northern Lights in the States. They say it is, but I know the difference. That's right. Shane, only 10%. I always say 95% won't make any money, but I agree. It's probably about 90%. Tom, it's sardines till it's lobster. True. Do you see that massive cup and handle pattern on the total 3? Oh, absolutely. I'm glad somebody brought up the total 3. Absolutely. It's a pretty big one if you look at, I mean, I could come all the way back here into January and say it's building something as well. But coming back here to beginning of March, you have something coming back here. So, I mean, there's potential here. I mean, this looks like a hanging, in my opinion, it almost looks like XRP's pattern. So when I say XRP seems to be leading the alt tokens, look how this little setup kind of is here. That could bring us up here maybe in a good scenario. So maybe we get good news tomorrow and then it comes up to 887. But you see how that's set up? That's almost set up, and I'll go to this one because it's easier to see on XRP. That's almost set up like XRP, but XRP looks a little more bullish if this were to pull up. Joseph Kupiak, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for many, many months here. Over 3 months now at the XP Media. James, welcome in, and good evening, my friend. You're late, but you're here. I was also late too, my friend. I had some family stuff to take care of. But better late than never, as I always say. And thank you for being in Tom's Army. I really appreciate that. I'll be completely transparent. Shame that's what I did with XRP. I had no idea how to even read charts back then. I need to read. I know I'm not a trader next, so I buy and hold up the price. Yep, that's not a bad idea. It's just, you know, sometimes if you don't understand the charts, it's better to find an area you're comfortable with. And then just, instead of being a trader, you end up stocking it up until you think is the appropriate time to make a decision one way or the other. There is nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. You just got to find an area you're comfortable and make sure you're spending money that you don't need to pull out tomorrow if it were to lose 25%. You know, there's nothing worse than seeing somebody invest $10,000 and it's all they have in their savings and then watch it go down 30%. And they're not in the let's keep accumulating phase. They're in the, oh shit, I just ruined everything and now I've only got $7,000 left in my bank account. Like, that's what I don't want to see. James says, I'm making silver salmon. I caught at Westport. Wow. You are the man, James. That is awesome. I love reading stuff like that. I really, really do. Whew. Frankie said, I'm thinking of loading up on silver before it spikes. Not a bad idea. I think silver is the way to go over gold even right now because gold, you know, is hitting an all-time high and silver is still below what it was, not only in 2020, but going back 40 years. So I think we're going to take out the COVID high of 35 here pretty quickly. And then we're going to end up retesting that $50 handle at some point. I know we have to get past 39. I know there's a big resistance at 39 as well. But I do think we're going to have a big rise here. I'm glad you brought up silver. It's right about 34, a little bit under. It's at a resistance though, so if we did end up falling here a little bit, there it could be a time to retest a little lower. But the technical move up, if this plays out from here, is just over 35. But in time, I do believe we're going to end up finding ourselves somewhere about 93. But I think we're going to hit triple digits in silver in the next half a decade, probably. It may be quicker. So let's see. You own 100 ounces of silver and it's at 60, you're selling. I mean, that's your own personal, that's what you want to do. I personally don't think precious metals are for selling unless you really have to. I think it's a real way to store your value, and over time it gets forgotten about. And then if everything works out in life the way it's supposed to, it can be passed on to the inheritance of your next generation. And then that's how your family can build wealth. And we might not be able to experience it to that level, but think about 4 or 5, 6 generations down the road. If they prescribe to that same theory, they're going to be able to run this country by the balls. They're going to have it by the balls, and it's going to start with us. So some people have to be the starter of the the family wealth, and other people just are born at the right time and have to continue it. It can fail in all phases. Jan, have a blessed evening, love. I'm so glad to see you still here. You've been so supportive and in the Army for so long. I really appreciate you. Have a blessed evening. I know I started so late. Good night, Jennifer, as well. Jennifer, I'm sorry I started so late. This 2 nights in a row, I kind of screwed you over here. Not intentionally, but, family is family, and sometimes we got to do what we got to do. But yeah, I like this look of XRP if we don't get rejected here in the short term. That looks like we could be starting something here. Nice inversion, nice head, inverse head, nice shoulder here. We really could be starting something, hopefully. I mean, it's been over. It's taken far too long to break out of here. It really has, but I like to see us moving back up in the upward trajectory. I can tell you that right now. But we also had the drop point, so now we retest the little drop and see what we can do. Zachary, you're welcome. I try to keep it real. I don't try, that's all I know. Even if it gets me in trouble, I always keep it real. Even if it offends people, that's all I know. I can't lie. I don't like to keep track of lies. So I learned a very humbling lesson when I was younger, when I couldn't keep my lies straight when I was very young, probably like under 12. And I remember it bit me in the ass because I screwed up one thing. And one person I said something different to than another person, and they both happened to be in the room at the same time. And it's just like karma would happen and fate would deter, or would demand, that they both heard something slightly different, and it bit me in the ass, right? So that was a very humbling lesson I learned when I was younger, and it's kept me on the path of I need to tell the truth at all times, because then I can't get myself in trouble. Even if it's not something that I want somebody else to hear, or if I did something wrong, hey, you just got to be honest. It's better to be honest about something and take your medicine and then move on. So, like in crypto, when I used to make mistakes, it was either I could give up here, or I could try to learn and figure out why I bought at the wrong time, why I had my emotions sell it, on a drop when it was just about to reverse again, and things, or why did I not buy at the right floor, why did I not sell the ceiling, and what the hell am I still sitting in after a 90, there's all these lessons to be learned. There's all these lessons. Back to the ledger situation. If there is a ledger for the banks and one for the retail, is it possible this could make to where retail... I mean, it is. That's why I didn't want them to I didn't want them to amend some of the stuff in the XRP lawsuit, or the Ripple lawsuit versus Securities and Exchange Commission. There was redacted parts when I read through the 60 pages with all of you on one of the lives, and it took like almost 3. It was a very long one. But remember all the redacted, and for anybody who was in here, is there anybody in here who was reading through those the actual official documents with me, and actually sat in here? And when we went through the redacted parts, it showed a different price for the public and institutional investors. Remember the different price for retail and the institutions, but it redacted it so we couldn't see the difference in price. I think we would throw up. I think we would throw up if we seen the difference. I think we're going to get rate cuts tomorrow, more than likely. And if we get rate cuts, it's going to be a little bit of a relief here. Zachary, I know a lot of people in here use Zaman. That's my XRP wallet as well. It used to be Zoom. Now it's Zaman. It's been for a while, but that's what I use. But it looks like we're starting to reverse here a little bit. Like, I can honestly see this as well. And I'd be very happy if this is the case. I mean, I couldn't even explain to you how happy I would be if we could reverse from here. If I can be honest with my audience. So what do you guys think? Do you think this plays out? Do you think we can gain a little momentum here? Or do you think we're just coming for a rejection of the death cross and then we come farther? Because the daily's ugly. The daily is ugly. And if we get, let's say, even a rejection there, the daily's ugly. So we need to reverse this. We need to reverse this very much so. And that's with H-bar. You know, there's a lot of different things that we watch, but H-bar is one that we're just trying to reverse through this. It's not just XRP. Can we please look up Flint token? One word, Google it. It's a pre-sale that has high APY play to it and crazy airline rewards. I'd like your... Ooh, thank you for the $5 donation. I've never heard of that. Fly T token. And I'm not gonna go off the hinges here, and because I still want to talk a lot more about XRP. I think it's a lot funner when we have XRP, our mainstay. And remember, we've been doing this since XRP was under 30 cents as well. So it feels good. Damn it. I don't care what anybody says. It feels damn good to be in consolidation. It's still up at $2.30. I don't care what anybody says. For almost 4 years I've been doing this, and only for about 3 months has it even been over, what, $1? So, Timothy, looks like XRP is leading the market. It sure does. It sure does. Let's see this fly fucking token. Well, what is this? Is this the right one? Fly T token? Is that the Franklin token? I don't know. I need some clarification here. Because I've never heard of this I've never heard of this one. I would imagine it's a scam token, no offense. I think team abandoned this project and have probably moved on to scam another. Oh, well, that sounds about right. I don't think this is the right one, but I don't know. This particular one has some very bad reviews here, so. Sounds scammy, but no. Exactly, it does. I don't know. I don't have a clue either, but anyhow, getting back on track. XRP, I mean, it's up about, yeah, it's up 0.75%. XLM's up 2.2%. Right now, H-bar's up about 1%. DGB's up about 0.5%. Algo still flat. Pretty much everything. IOTA's up 1.3. Interesting. Very interesting. Let's see if there's any, let's see if there's any news that we need to know about for XRP right now, as it does push over the $2.30 mark here. Strategy to issue 5 million Series A shares to expand. Oh my God. MicroStrategy. I seen this earlier. So MicroStrategy to issue 5 million Series. Is that what this is again for MicroStrategy? Is this MicroStrategy? Why are they just saying strategy? Did they change their front end of the name? Only because of the existing regulatory constraints. News has been dead on X today, except the JFK files. Wow, that's a lot of preferred stock. Holy moly. This is crypto, cars, and coffee. Can you really trust what David Schwartz says? He's not going to come out and just say it. I think the fact they redacted that the two different prices between retail and institutions was very glaring and alarming. And it was something that we needed to pay attention to. I think, I mean, we all have our opinion. So strategy to issue 5 million, that's a lot. That is a lot. That's just going to continue to dilute their MicroStrategy shares. That's like, if you ask me, that's like a very big Ponzi scheme going on in Bitcoin right now. They're just getting loans. What happens if the price comes down too far and it's too low? I knew I seen it somewhere. That's exactly where I seen it. That's exactly where I seen it, Nick. You posted it. XRP flashes 102% liquidation imbalance as price rebound fails. XRP has plunged from a high of $2.33 to find support at $2.25 as the altcoin experienced volatility in line with the broader cryptocurrency market. This cooling down has triggered a massive liquidation among traders that bet long on XRP. Massive liquidation stunned XRP long position traders. Zachary, thank you so much for the $19.99 donation. Tommy, what do you think XRP and XLM will hit during the bull run? Well, I mean, assuming that the bull run plays out like it looked like it was after a 7-year consolidation and the descending wedge for XRP, I think $5.49 and as high as $6.79 would be appropriate. It's just a matter of, are we going to have a fifth wave? If we have a fifth wave, I have no doubt we should fill out that $5.49. That was my target to start. And there was the top end potential at $6.79. So I'm sticking with that range. But there is a case to be made if we have worst case scenario that we could have already topped out and things just changed and the monetary policy doesn't go our way. And, there's just too much inflation and too much hyperinflation and stagflation and there's not enough money to be moved in. There's always that argument to be made. But if it played true, the descending wedge that formed from January 2018 all the way until roughly November of 2024, it had a technical target breaking out in that range the day it did of $5.49. So I still believe that that's the area we need to look at. Strategy B is the new name, Tom. Of course it is. They got to sound different. They probably filed bankruptcy. Well, that's because technically this Elliott wave that we're on is a 5-wave move. And it always ends up with an ABC correction to get to the next wave. But the problem is here is if you can make the argument that it's still an extended wave 4. I get that. And that's what we're hoping for here. And if it is that wave 5, if you measure it out in length, as long as we don't lose $1.50, you can find yourself all the way back up with a measured move. And yeah, maybe it cuts off some of the move, but it would still bring you back up +3. And then it should still carry through and hit your technical target. It's just the problem for me is this is moving like a very weird 5 wave because it's already done several ABC corrections along the way. And usually when you get off of the C correction of an ABC and it's still bullish, you bounce very, very hardcore. That's exactly what he said. Well, if he's using the 5-wave theory, that he knows that $1.50 is critical. And he also knows that these ABC movements aren't exactly in line like they're supposed to be right now. So it can, Nick, if I'm being honest, sometimes it's just further market manipulation. There can be other factors, like there was the presidential election. They had a lot of people donate crypto from the Democratic side and the Republican side. So they always want to get their money back. And the easiest way to do it is just to prop up the market for a minute and then use retail as liquidity. I hate to say it, but it's true. I'm part of retail too, so it sucks. But that's an easy way to pay back the contributors as well and like the supporters. So data from CoinGlass shows that in the last 24 hours, total liquidation on XRP stood at 8.49 million. Notably, the coin saw traders in a longer position suffering the brunt. Traders betting long on the future of XRP lost 6.42 million as opposed to 2.07 million cleared from short position traders. That always rubs me bad. So that means just by leverage trading the market, $8.5 million has found its way out of retail and into the hands of the crypto casino. Instead of just having it in a long position or a 1x short, it's over. It's just over. But even remember, even on a 1x short, I mean, Man, oh man, it gets tough. It gets tough when you start using leverage. That's why the ETFs would be a massive benefit, I think, in some regards for XRP, because crypto exchanges just can't be trusted for the most part. I can't even tell you guys. There's so much manipulation on the exchanges. Even if everything looks right, even if you've never had a problem, it's only a matter of time until you do. And that's unfortunately been my experience in crypto. It's only a matter of time until some bullshit happens. So, my best advice to everybody is when you have significant profits, you take it out, get it off the exchange, especially if you're not using it, and buy some silver, buy some mining stocks while they're cheap, even though they're not as cheap now because they've gone up some have gone up pretty significantly here the last few weeks. But I'm thinking a lot of our thing too is we're gonna change our focus too to the ETFs as well. We can invest through the ETFs on XRP, if they come in. Not being negative, but what's going to be the next Black Swan event? I think this overall world war that's building, especially because the U.S. is trying to get NATO involved. If that happens, this escalates to a worldwide war, and it's going to be trouble. And with the problem with man, I love this live tonight. See, this is why I don't like to miss days. I didn't know it was going to go down this road, and we are going to be this steadfast and this in tune with each other. But man, there's a lot, but think about it with stagflation. We've got credit card debt in the USA, and I know it's like this in the Eurozone and many other places as well, Canada. Well, we've got record credit card debt, so people can't even use more credit to buy things. We're in liquidity crunch mode. So now if something bad happens here, we got big problems. We got very big problems. And like a lot of people are worried about the Fed or they owe people the government money. I think that would be the least of everybody's worries right now. Forget what you owe everybody and just understand like you got to try to get to a debt-free situation here. This is the most peril time in human history that the debt-free living is actually going to give you the advantage. A lot of people like Robert Kiyosaki and many others like to say you live off of debt. I can't do it. Because the moment something goes wrong, that debt piles up and then you got no cash available. What happens when the banker can't give you any more loans? What happens if you can't act on the credit you have? What happens if my, $35, $40, $50,000 in credit cards that I could technically charge up? What happens when it just says it on paper, but you go to use it and it doesn't work because there's no credit left to be given? We're kind of in a spot here where real estate, depending on which way this government goes, it's going to be nice to own a house, but it's going to be such a, I don't want to go further into it, but it's a nightmare setting up. The debt markets are setting up a nightmare. The bond markets are starting to look really rough right now, and it's going to get hemorrhaged here. Imagine if China doesn't want to use government bonds anymore from the USA. Or debt notes. It's going to be a problem. So this has resulted in a massive 102% liquidation imbalance between long and short position traders. XRP's failure to sustain the price the price rebound was behind this massive liquidations experience by long traders in the last 24 hours. This has affected the confidence of XRP traders as trading volume has correspondingly dropped within the same time frame. Per coin market cap data, XRP has declined by 7.79% to $3 or 3.47 billion as the price continues to fight its downward movement. XRP has momentarily slipped below the $2.25 support to trade at $2.24 before recovering to stabilize at the current level. Market participants are keenly watching XRP's price action to determine whether a correction is ahead and how they might profit from it. Interestingly, a top trader recently hinted at the behind-the-scenes accumulation of XRP and an increased buying activity. Can XRP reclaim its 2018 all-time high, as reported by You Today? The XRP price is predicted to soar as high as $3.47. This prediction relies on the higher band of the asset's Bollinger Bands. If this plays out and XRP surges to this level, it could retest its all-time high at $3.84, recorded 7 years ago in 2018. Analysts, however, expect XRP to continue consolidating for a while before it can retest higher levels. Technical indicators show that it might face resistance at $2.54. If the altcoin multiplies the resistance to the support, it could attempt $3. So, there's a lot. There's a lot, and then you can look at the other side of it. XRP price breakdown below $2. But I'm not looking to get into another analyst. I just like looking at certain things. So Ripple price analysis. Here's why. Where is XRP headed after a 20% monthly? I don't care about that. XRP puzzle. London fund manager breaks down why price isn't rising. I'm interested by some of these news stories. Is anybody else? I know a lot of people leave when I start talking about this stuff, but I am interested in the news as well. So I think we need to focus some on this as well. Just see an overall feel if we miss something. So banks and other global financial organizations are becoming more interested in XRP. The cryptocurrency. Ooh, good. Nick, you guys like it too. I'm glad some of you like it. Frankie, I like it. So banks and other global financial organizations are becoming more interested in XRP, the cryptocurrency and digital payment systems. However, the price of the altcoin has not changed, leaving many investors and analysts perplexed. While some contend that the usage of Ripple's private ledger conceals XRP's actual value. So listen, guys, remember how somebody said David Schwartz said there's no private ledger? I mean, they're pointing to Ripple's private ledger as a point of content here, so it's kind of interesting. So while some contend that the usage of Ripple's private ledger conceals XRP's actual value, others attribute this to issues with liquidity and market sentiment. So the private ledger may be limiting price growth, and somebody mentioned that in the comments when we first started, how this could affect, and could this be limiting the price potential or the growth in the future? So according to DigitalG, a former fund manager in London, Ripple's usage of a private ledger for institutional transactions may be the reason why the price of XRP has been stagnant. And we know for a fact that's true. In the redacted version in like late 23, and we got to read the official documents, it was a doozy, like 60 plus pages. It actually was redacted out where it showed the price for retail and then the price for institutions. It had it blacked out so we couldn't see the difference between retail and institutional buyers. So that pissed me off. As a holder, I should be allowed that information. The reason why the government also doesn't want to show it is it would show them on that list as well. But anyhow, I digress. DigitalG asserts that banks might be acquiring XRP in substantial volumes on a concealed ledger instead of the public XRP ledger, keeping these transactions out of the public market. This separation could explain why increased adoption hasn't translated into higher prices, and that's always a fear. So that's DigitalG saying that. So DigitalG believes that later this year, a merger between the private ledger and XRPL could take place, which could jack up the value of XRP. Now, that would be best case scenario. Get them all in and have both of them flow together. Cool cat. I have more faith in XLM where the price is at right now for potential. And just things that I know, I've always had that contrarian buy of, that's why I'm XRP future millionaire with the side bet on XM and future Digibite. Oh, gee, there's a reason why. There's really a reason why. I feel that to the core, what you just said, my friend. He notes that from July 2024, when it was in correction phase, the price of XRP has been continuously ranging between 52 and 56. Banks' adoption of blockchain technology continues to grow. Meanwhile, it's been a big step forward for Ripple to form relationships with financial institutions. Some of the 30 largest banks in the world are apparently planning to use Ripple settlement technology by teaming up with Bitstamp, according to reports. Nick says, imagine if XRP one day just switched to like 15K or whatever. Oh. I would come on here and I don't even know what I would say if that happened. If I woke up and all of a sudden my account was from 20-something thousand of XRP or 30,000 worth of XRP at the moment, and it turned into hundreds of millions of dollars, billions of dollars, trillions of dollars. Let's see. Meanwhile, there's been a big step forward. So some of the 30 largest banks in the world are apparently planning to use Ripple settlement technology by teaming up with Bitstamp, according to reports. Along with the creation of RippleNet on-demand liquidity, ODL, which both requires XRP, it has become easier to send money. Man, my braces are a little sore now. It has become easier to send money across borders more quickly and cheaply. Price trajectory unclear. The future of XRP's pricing is also unclear at this time. The 3 key levels. Oh man, this is incredible. Look at how far back this was going when we started reading this. Look, well, it broke down something from earlier in the before we had a big breakout. That is awesome, but still, nonetheless, remains valid in my opinion. Been about 45 minutes. Only going to be about another 5 minutes here tonight, probably, because I got to go in the room with Julie for a minute. I know she's about to fall asleep because I started so late. I have to go in there and help her with something. But I wanted to get through 45, 50 minutes real quick. Hopefully tomorrow we'll be back on schedule. I don't see any reason why, but as a dad of a special needs child, you never do know and you can never quite tell what's going to pop up. I like where the market cap is in one sense, but I hate where it's at in another. I like that we're still above that 129.29. I hate the fact that in the daily we got rejected so far. Now we're below this resistance level that needs to be a support. And every time we come below that, it has had volatile drops if we came below that pivot point, which is that white price action. Well, it's that white price target at 129.29 if it were to fall below. We understand, Tom, and if anyone doesn't, they can go somewhere else. Exactly, Nick. I agree with that. But, I understand sometimes it's hard to understand because if you're not in somebody else's situation, you can't understand. So I always try to show grace with everybody. I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot sometimes from prejudging and things like that. So it's a different perspective I share as well. Now, if you look at this in the smaller time frames, doesn't it show the potential here? We have potential. 134 billion is what we really need to get past. And then start to break out of that 139, 140. Start pushing out. If we do break out in this holds, even if it takes us all the way to the end of March, the technical target, if we could break out of this little symmetrical stretch, would be all the way up to 209 billion. That would be great for price appreciation for XRP. It's if it breaks down, it wouldn't be so great, obviously. The XRP Bitcoin pairing, it's still in the same inverse head and shoulders, just waiting to power out of here if it does play out properly. That's why it gives me a lot of hope here. We need to not let this short term overtake us. But right now, I see a lot of potential here. Next target would be all the way up at the 3057 sat level. And I would imagine if we're appreciating versus Bitcoin, XRP would be rising faster, not falling slower than Bitcoin. So, obviously anything is possible. So, normally, Nick, we do have a pretty nice burst to end like the springtime or to start spring into the summer. But once we get into the summer in crypto, it's traditionally very bearish as the summer goes on. Now, if tomorrow, listen, guys, before I leave, if we get a stay the same, which is very possible tomorrow, if they stay the same with rate cuts and we stay neutral, it's going to be bearish for crypto. And the reason why is crypto needs some easy money. It needs some easy money. It needs some cheaper rates that's good for risk. Now, if they stay the same, gold and silver is going to continue moving and mining stocks are going to continue to flourish. If they were to raise rates, gold and silver is going to love it. If they cut rates, it's going to love it even more. That's the thing. There's not a bad bet here with gold and silver. It's so crazy. So we are in a very, very volatile state here. When you start looking at like the total crypto market cap, when you look at that in the 1 year, how does that look to everybody? The back end of this kind of looks a little stagnant. But if you look at it from a weekly perspective, we're trying to power out of here. So, sure, you can make it look good or bad depending on the time frames, but some of the longer time frames still don't look bad. Honestly, it's the shorter time frames that give you a little bit of cause for concern. But when you pull it out, you can kind of see a little bit of credence here to where, hey, it's not all bad. It's not technically all bad. It's just we're starting around the top and we don't want to do that. Meaning sell in May and don't... No, I'm not saying sell in May. I'm just saying, in my experience the last 4 years in crypto, while I've been doing this with everybody, we seem to have some big blow off the top right before summer, and then it just kind of consolidates towards the downside. And then right around October, when you see the pumpkins come out, is when we're getting ready for the next big boom. And that's what happened last year, right after the pumpkins came out. But yeah, we know this is one big cup and handle. That's why even if it has to come to $1.50, I really don't care. As long as it doesn't break this pattern, I know where this can go. We know where it can go. We know the pattern. We've had this pattern drawn out since before this pattern actually happened. If you want the truth, if you guys are new. And I still have it showing on the XRP market cap. We had this drawn out before this ever happened. Not even close. This has been drawn out. We've had these drawn out for years. But I'm going to go. Julie, I see her in the comments. Julie, I promise I'm coming in there, my love. Selling may go away. Take the summer off. Yeah, okay. Somebody was sharing the term. I apologize. But yeah, I definitely agree with that. So, all right, guys, I'm going to go hang out with Julie. She's going to be falling asleep soon, and I want to make sure everything's good. Have a blessed evening, everybody. I'm so glad we could do 51 minutes.